Habits. We all have them. Some of them are good, like hitting the gym. Some are not so much. And I'm looking at you, nail biters, you sick bastards. But over time, we all build up these habits, and in most cases, we don't even realize that we have them. And reptile keeping is no exception to that rule. So let's dive into 5 habits that reptile keepers have that we just can't help but have. Habit 1, checking to see if our animal has eaten. Especially snakes, we are notorious when it comes to checking them for eating. Like, you leave the rodent in the tank, or bin, whatever you keep your snakes in, and every 5 minutes you check to see if they've eaten it. Or maybe it's a bearded dragon, you've made them a salad. You've placed it in their enclosure. The next step to this should be that you leave and allow your animal time to eat and when it's ready. And now don't get me wrong, it's like, listen here Steve, the bearded dragon we are using in this analogy I've decided is now called Steve. Steve, I worked hard for this. I go to work every day, make money so I can come home and give you this beautiful food. Then I've slaved away in the kitchen making you this salad for you to just ignore it. I mean, in reality, I did just throw a bunch of collard greens and a few other things in a bowl for him. But nevertheless, that takes bloody time and effort. And that's more time and effort than I put into my own bloody food. But the whole point of this one is that we like and want to see our animals eating. We like it. It's like a portion of the hobby. It's a portion of the thrill of owning these animals. And as a result, we sometimes loiter and spy on them until we've at least seen them acknowledge it. But like, imagine if a waiter did that to you at a restaurant. They put the food down on the table for you, and then they start peering around corners or peeping up from beneath the table, waiting for you to eat the bloody thing. Like, f*** me, piss off, son, I'm eating it. I'm trying to eat here, you're stopping me. I'm not eating till you take your bony, nosy arse back to the kitchen, or just at least away from me. I don't want to be making any eye contact with you when I'm eating. That's weird. This analogy is reminding me of something. It's kind of like when you're at the urinals taking a piss. Now, sorry to all the ladies watching who have not experienced urinal etiquette, but this will only be a second. But you're standing there mid-flow and some comes and stands right bloody beside you. When there's like 5 other urinals there for him to choose from. He comes and chooses the one right beside you. Now, we've all seen that meme going around as to which urinal you use in which situations. Bottom line, mate, you don't stand next to me in any of the situations, you maniac. But not only does this twat stand beside you, he starts talking to you. He's trying to have a full-fledged conversation while you're mid-flow and he's mid-flow. Like, dude, off, I'm kind of busy here, This is not the time to be starting a conversation with an absolute stranger. Unless you're looking to go dogging, in which case my ears are open. You know what? Let's name this We're going to call him Chris, because this is a Chris thing to do. Like, Chris, dude, I can't go while you're standing right up close to me talking. Like, I can't go. Piss off. Okay, in typical fashion, I fell off topic a little bit there. But getting back to the point, we like to watch our animals eating their food. Not only is it a sign that they're healthy, but it's also just entertaining, especially if it's a bearded dragon hunting crickets, because crickets, they deserve to die. And we kind of get offended if they ignore it or leave it for too long. What we realistically want is for them to dive head first into their food constantly every time we give it to them. Like, we want them to have the same level of enthusiasm as you guys have when a new YouTube video comes out from my channel. This is somewhat of an unhealthy habit, mainly for your pet, which you're just pestering the living out of. We really need to improve this behavior, but it's quite unlikely. Second habit, over-decorating enclosures and then getting pissed off when your reptile inevitably changes it. Changes the aesthetic of it. Maybe you two just don't share the same style. This is one that since building the quadplex, I've experienced quite a bit of. Like, I set the enclosure up, I'm really happy with the way it looks, then the next morning I come down here, the whole fucking thing's changed. Like, I get no respect for me efforts here. My mother used to do this to me when I was in school. Let me explain. Sometimes I'd come home from school, go upstairs to my bedroom, and see that it'd been moved. Not the bedroom itself, that's in the same location, but the furniture within the bedroom had been moved. Now, she did not tell me she was going to do that, and nor did any of her modifications make any fucking sense. Like, lady, the wash basket needs to be by the door. Why is it by the window? And also, my bed needs to be facing the door so that way I can see when monsters are trying to break in. The bed can't be faced the other way around because then I can't see them coming. I have some past demons to deal with. Hopefully my therapist can help me. But the whole point of this one is that you put in the time and the obsession to get in the enclosure to look the way you want, and then we get irritated when the snake or lizard changes it. It is frustrating as all hell. But what's worse is our compulsion to put it back. So basically, we set up the enclosure, we house the animal. The animal moves every square inch of that enclosure around. We then actively try and move things back. Then the animal actively tries to move things back to the way it wants. And it's a constant back and forth. We are never going to win this. It's a bloody OCD nightmare, and I can say that because my mother has it. It becomes an endless bloody game of musical chairs. Now, this is a little bit compulsive and controlling, I'll give you that. I mean, I guess this one is more of a personal problem than a habit. Number 3, reptile whispering. You know, like thinking the snakes or lizards that we keep can understand anything we say, especially when we use baby speech. I mean, we do this with all pets, dogs especially. Not really sure where the need or necessity or habit comes from, but we all do it. But regardless of its origin, I do find myself doing this quite often. If you watch back some of my previous videos, you are definitely going to see me talking to some of my snakes in baby voice or just in full-fledged conversations. Now, I tend to do this mainly during feeding and cleaning. If someone was to set up a camera, not this one, like a secret camera somewhere, please don't though, and film me looking after my snakes on a weekly basis, they would see me having full-fledged conversations with some of these animals. They would think I'm absolutely insane. Now, I don't have conversations with all of my snakes, mind you. Some of my animals are a little bit more private. They don't like to really talk to me that much. Unlike Nag Nag here, she loves to gossip. And I do agree with you, Barbara is an absolute slag. And then there's Scud. Him and me mainly just argue. He's like the grumpy teenager. Whatever you've done, he's done 2 or 3 times while blindfolded. This does tend to be a bit of a one-sided argument sometimes though. And then there's me corn snakes down the bottom here. Impatient, attention-seeking, and kind of dumb. So basically the same as children. Now, talking to snakes is a lot more odd than that of talking to lizards. The reason for that is twofold. The first part of that is the snakes aren't that bright. So even if you could converse with them, it would probably be like talking to someone on a major come down. And the other part to that is that snakes don't have great hearing. So even if they were intelligent enough to converse and talk to you, they probably can't hear you. So it's a lose-lose situation here. They're either too stupid to understand what you're saying, or they just can't hear what you're saying. Yet we still talk to them. Bizarre, I know. Maybe we could teach them sign language. I guess there already is kind of some sign language in the snake world. You know, there's the flattening of the neck, like Scud just did a second ago, which is his way of saying fuck off. There's the tail rattling, which some of the Texas rat snakes do, and rattlesnakes do it, which is their way of saying the fuck off. There's the hissing and the mouth gaping, and the egg-eating snake that rubs her scales together, which is her way of saying fuck off. I guess it's not really sign language, is it? But you get my point, right? I mean, is it just me or do snakes have a lot of ways of telling you to just go f*** yourself? I may have to adopt some of these techniques for some of the people I dislike. Like, imagine if someone was to come over to you and it's someone you don't like and you were to just hiss at them. I think they'd leave you alone. I wonder how snakes would react if you just hissed back at them. So like in my next argument I have with Scud over there, if I was to just hiss at him, what it would do? I mean, if I start doing that, I might need to check myself into a mental institute. Habit number 4. Telling people that you have reptiles. Now, I assume it's not just me here, but I tell almost everybody that I meet, work with, or interact with on a regular basis that I have reptiles. And yes, I said almost everyone. I don't tell absolutely everyone. And that's for a few reasons. Well, mainly 2, I guess. Either I don't bring them up because I'm self-conscious and anxious that you're going to judge me, or the second reason is I just simply don't like you. So if you're someone watching this and you know me, but I haven't told you that I have reptiles, it's one of those 2 reasons. I'll let you deduce which one it is. It's most likely the second one. But on the odd occasion that I do talk to people about my snakes and reptiles, new people that is, many of them give me the same kind of look. You know, a bit of a glossed over face, their eyes kind of come out of focus, their skin pales, which in my mind could mean a couple of things. Either they don't care or they're scared. Or maybe a combination of the 2. When you tell people that you have reptiles, it's always interesting to see their reactions. Half of them are fascinated and just want to get to the bottom as to why, and they want to understand a bit more about reptiles. Maybe they've just never thought about them as pets in general. And some people treat you as if you're reacting to a murder. It's like keeping reptiles makes you a different species of human. But I mean, in any case, this habit's pretty manageable, right? So it's one of the less problematic, because in reality, you might get judged for it by some people that don't like reptiles, but who cares what they think. But it could realistically cause some people to distance themselves from you. But f*** them, it's no real loss to you. I should really call my mum. Number 5, and this is definitely the most unhealthy habit of reptile keeping. It's a constant internal argument with ourselves. And that argument is that just one more reptile will do. That's all we need. We just need one more. This one type of reptile, that's what we need and we're done. Right? Just one more snake or lizard or buggy thing with many legs, whatever. Just one more, we're done, we're happy. This is an addiction mindset, by the way. Collecting reptiles is a permanent hobby. Even those who try and cut back, they will always keep a few on hand. They're just so easy comparatively to some of the other pet options to keep that it's just a no-brainer to always have more than one. Because remember, There is nobody that has one pet reptile. Those people don't exist. They're like birds, they're not real. You know, just handling and looking after a reptile is just a nice daily dose of dopamine, and is a lot less antisocial and messy than using the hub. But you do need to be careful with this habit, because it can spiral into an addiction. You know, first it starts off as like a once a week thing, you just do on like a Friday or Saturday night with a bunch of friends. Next thing you know, you're sitting in a snake room with a camera pointed at you. It's easy to fall into this, so be careful. There we have it. So those are 5 reptile keeper habits that none of us can stop or help ourselves with having. Let me know in the comments if you are guilty of all 5.